Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? Good morning. How we doing? How are we? Okay? Good, good. How are we doing, everybody? Daniel, Frank, thanks for being here already. Good to see you all today. How we feeling? How we feeling ahead of this game? Alexis, good to see you guys. Sean, hello, my friends. How we doing? Interesting morning, isn't it? Is interesting morning. Aman, Sharon, Noah. Interesting morning. Ramon, Issa, Keith, IR, Stanley. Nervous as usual, Josh. You know, the thing about it I would say today is what you got to worry about. Game's made up and the points don't matter. But yeah, it's obviously there's a focus on Thursday. Um, there's a focus on Thursday for the Europa League. There's no doubt about that. But the whole Onana thing is the bigger story. Obviously, we'll talk about about Amass here in a minute starting, which is great that he's getting a chance to make his Premier League starting debut. Also outside Bayindir's Premier League debut, mind you. So two at least two debuts today for the Premier League, which is nice. Different circumstances, different reasons, different everything, and all of that. Um, but yeah, look, um, Ornstein obviously saying, like, look, here's the thing, okay? Ouch. As I heard yesterday, yeah, Amram is not very, very happy with with Onana. There's no doubt about that. He is not very happy with him. The thing about this is that this is not a one-off thing. I understand that it's to a degree how it's being presented, that it's saying, well, now, Ornstein, for example, saying now that, that United will maybe have to look at moving Onana and his agent might have to look at moving him on. That's really not that new. I understand what he's saying, but it's not. Look, we did this dance 2 years ago where I told you all season United were looking at keepers. Onana hasn't been dropped because of one game. Okay, even as high profile as the game was and as bad as it was, Onana hasn't been left out of the squad, and there aren't doubts over his future now, and all of that over one game. Um, this has been coming, and obviously they hoped that he would have a better season, that it would continue to get better and better, but he's been dropping clanger after clanger after clanger since Amram has come in. And honestly, to the point where if you take out the errors, I would suspect United are clean through in Europa, right? As we know, even going into the second leg, and I would bet we probably have 8 to 10 more points in the league as well. Honestly, it's been that destructive and that damaging to us overall. Um, Bayindir going to take on a spot? He was building up to a competition. He was building up to a competition where see who would be performing better. They were kind of, Bayindir was getting all of the cup games, mind you, at the time. And Onana was getting the Premier League games, but there was building up to competition. And if Bayindir hadn't been injured, then there would have been a decent chance that right now Bayindir would be the main number one goalkeeper. But at the same time, we've been looking at goalkeepers all season. I know it for certain, 100%. I know it for certain that we've been looking at it all season. So I expect we will um, be in for one again. Hold on. See if that helps. So yeah, there we go. My volume might be, I don't know. My volume might be a little better now. I might just be talking quiet. It may not be an issue. Maybe on your end. I never know with this audio stuff. Oops. But yeah, so United have been looking at keepers all year. 2 years ago, I did this. We did this with De Gea, right? I sat here all season saying, look, they're looking at keepers. They're looking at keepers. They're looking at keepers. They're looking at keepers. They're not confident in David De Gea. They're looking at keepers. And in the end, they let David De Gea walk for free and signed a new keeper. Now, unfortunately, they signed the keeper for more money than all the other options they were looking at. That happened to be because he played under Ten Hag and not the keepers that they were looking at. And here we are. You know, everything we did under Ten Hag, we have to redo. Like, how crazy is that, man? Everything. We sign midfielders, they're old as balls, and we have to replace them 2 years later. We sign a striker, we have to replace him 2 years later. We sign center back, unfortunate for Lissandro, but he can't stay healthy, and we have to sign another one. Everything we did under Ten Hag, we're redoing. We signed a right winger, we have to sign another right winger. It's like literally every single position that we purchased, we have to redo. We even had to redo the left back in Tyrell Malacia. Like, it's insane, man. We're basically, between last summer and this summer, repeating all the signings we did in Ten Hag's first 2 summers because they were so bad. And none of them worked out. Like, literally, there has never been a worse hit rate and a worse amount of money spent in football than what we did under Ten Hag. So the thing with Onana there, what Ornstein's talking about is this, okay? Onana cost £60 million, right? That's math, 12 million a year. 12 million a year, right? So at the moment, he's still worth 32 million on our books if we were to sell him. 36 million on our books if we were to sell him. And that means that, but here's the thing, right? There is a balance to this because it's costing us 12 million a year. It's costing us 12 million a year for him. So let's say we sell him for 20. We have to write off a 12 million loss, but we also get to write off the 12 million a year. So it kind of balances. What was his exact cost? Because I'm thinking in euros. So I can give you the exact numbers there. That was the example of how it works for what it's worth. 47 million pounds. Okay, so not as much as I thought. So, because I was thinking in euros, because I remember discussing the deal in euros at the time. So 28 million pounds is costing us 9 million a year. So here's the thing: we have to sell for at least 19 million pounds. If we sell for 19 million pounds for on Onana, then we lose 9, but we get 9 off the books, so we wash. But then we have to buy a keeper, so we end up a negative. And then we do get his wages off as well, which are pretty significant, to be fair. But realistically, we need more than 20 million pounds to sell Andre Onana this summer. Realistically, that's what we need. 20 million pounds in order to sell him this summer. Again, originally, we have been looking at this, and we were looking at maybe getting somebody in for competition because we were thinking Bayindir was going to be going at the start of the season. He wasn't getting minutes. Ten Hag didn't like him at all. I don't really know why. Am I drinking beer? No, it is actually an iced green tea. Yes, it's iced tea. It's 8 a.m. here. It's a little early for me. So yeah, we have to get that 20 million pounds or more for not to take a loss. But again, the original idea was to sell Bayindir and to get a competition for Onana in. We'll see if that plan changes through summer. But we've done this again. 2 years ago, I argued with everybody that we were looking at keepers. Well, here you go again. Now at least it's admitted. Everybody is saying that Onana could leave now. It is not a one-off game decision. These things build up over time. There is nobody at United who has been written off for one game. It's a compounding of errors, and a compounding of problems that have resulted in this that they were not excited about. Saudi, I don't know. I really don't know, but I think at 25 million, there are other clubs that could be in for him. We could take a small loss on him and to be able to write off his cost. We could. It would still potentially put us ahead keeping him. So we'll see. But I can tell you, Amarim was pissed with the situation with Onana. So yes, there's always the general lines about protecting the player, taking him out of the firing line, and all these kinds of things. Yeah. Fuck all that. Let's be real for a second. He's dropped because he's shit and because he's costing the club time and time again, and you can have no confidence in him as a player or manager. What happens on Thursday, we don't know. It might depend a bit on how Ruben Amorim feels about Bayindir's performance today. If he feels that confidence in him, right? That's what you want in a keeper, safe hands. How many times have I said that in the last month? You want safe hands in a keeper. That's what Amorim has been asking for. That's what he's been saying, is he just wants a keeper with safe hands. So it depends. It depends on how he feels. It's a confidence thing when it comes to keepers, because it's not like you play keepers into like you have to worry about like the system so much. Even for in general, Amorim's system is not ultra reliant on keepers. It's not ultra reliant on keepers at all. Actually, his system's pretty passive when it comes to keepers compared to some others in the build-up and in other parts of the attacking structure. So he can get by with this, if he's good. So we'll see. What happens on Thursday, but let's see how Bayindir does today. If he fills Amorim with confidence, then I would suggest he has a real shot at starting Thursday. I mean, we don't know because obviously the decision hasn't been made, but it's all about confidence. That's everything. Whoever makes the team feel more confident is who Amorim will go with on Thursday. And himself, obviously, who makes him feel more confident. That's who he will go with on Thursday. So, hopefully, we have a good performance from Bayindir today, and he can bring that into Thursday. Because honestly, without the keeper blunders, I think we'd beat Lyon very easily, both legs. They're there for the taking. They're not that good. I was not that impressed with them in general. It was more to the matter of how bad we were at the start, how some of the worst forward play I have ever seen at United was that from Højlund on Thursday, and we still managed to snag 2 goals and should have had the lead going to the end of the game. So we will see. Amass played Onana making a mistake. Yeah, but Bayindir's been injured the last 2 months, my dude. Or yeah, I think it's almost 2 months now. He's been injured. So is Tom Heaton. We really haven't had a choice. So yeah, we've not really had a choice in the matter, unfortunately. I'm just waiting for the lineup to come out here. But yes, we also expect, of course, that Harry Amass is starting today. Harry Amass starting today is a big deal. It's really good for him. Yes, Garnacho completely blew that 3-on-1, 3-on-2 chance with Bruno and Xerxes as well, among other things. So the lineup should be coming out in a second here. So we'll see that. But yes, Amass expected to start today. Obviously, he's I think we'll see how much other rotation. Yeah, it's been almost 3 months for Bayindir. Thanks, Richie. Yeah, 2.5 months for him, I think. Um, we'll see how much rotation we do. Obviously, Thursday's the main focus in general, but you need to be a little bit confident. Amass, there's a couple of factors here that we want to see improvement in. We want to see Amass get on the pitch, test his physicality at the Premier League level, because that's been the concern for him. But the other positive side of it is getting him, a little bit in the shop window to a degree. He's going to be competing with Dorgu and Lyon for left back next season. And if he's not necessarily ready, he's one who's going to need to get a team and go somewhere and play football. That's what he needs, is to play football. So we'll see if he's ready for us or if he needs to go somewhere else. But either way, getting him on the pitch is a good thing. Team's up. Yes, sir. Okay. Bruno. Okay. Sorry, I thought Bruno was not in the squad for 2 seconds. Bayindir, Lindelof, Mazraoui, Euro. Okay, so Maguire's getting a rest, which is good. Højlund benched for very obvious reasons. Xerxes, Eriksson, Garnacho, Ugarte, Amass. All right, let's plug this into the team. Let's see how it's gonna look. I'm gonna say it's like this. And then we need to get Mount and Mainu on so that they get their fitness back so they can start on Thursday. Yeah, Bruno will be deep today. That much is pretty obvious. He has been when he's played with Eriksson. It's been Bruno deep under Amarim, which makes perfect sense to me. So I think that Euro, Lindelof. Wait, was De Ligt in the bench? Was De Ligt on the bench? I didn't see him. Was De Ligt on the bench? Hold on. He's not. So he probably won't be playing on Thursday either. But Aiden Heaven was back in the squad, yeah? Awesome. Fantastic. So yeah, look, this is the lineup. This is what we've got. Obviously, oh yeah, and of course the big one. And then obviously this is what we've got right now. This is what we're going with for this game. Maguire and Heaven on the bench there. So I think that obviously a part of this is playing, we're going to make a fair bit of subs for Thursday. You probably want to sub off Xerxes so he can start on Thursday. You'll probably sub off you probably want to get Mount in here. Casemiro will probably come on for Ugarte at some point, so they split minutes. Mount and Mainu, you want to get in here. Bruno will probably play all the time because it's fucking Bruno, right? Doesn't need the rest. So yeah, Bruno Ugarte will be benched at some point, and the Casemiro will come on. Bruno doesn't really need to rest, does he? Does he ever need to rest? He kind of just plays better the more you play him. That being said, you could go Højlund, Mount, Mainu, Casemiro in the second half and just change the team up a bit. And then get Maguire on and get maybe Heaven on for a few minutes. And then, see what we've got. Morehouse, not all the guys who are traveling are going to be, or with the squad, are going to be in the team, Dorgu's on the bench. He's not injured. He's getting rest. Dorgu will probably come on too. If I was going to say we make 5 subs, I would see it like this. 5 subs. Because Amass is not... I doubt Amass plays 90 in his first game. His first start. Probably get, like, Heaven on for Lenny at some point. Get him some minutes. Get Lenny some rest. Casemiro comes on for Ugarte. We're gonna assume Bruno never gets benched off. One of these two will come off, or both. And then I think it'll be like Mount and Mainu will come on for two of the forwards. Maybe for Xerxes and Eriksson or something. I don't know. It just depends how we want to play. You could do 3. You could, yeah, because you can't do more than, you only have 2 more subs. So, some players are going to have to play. Like, I feel like Lindelof will play the whole game because he can, and we don't really need him to start Thursday. Dallo because he can. Bruno because he can. Eriksson, again, probably because he can, and we may not need him for Thursday. Not like can, but like we don't need him for Thursday and he's fresh. So I'm kind of expecting our subs to be around the other positions. But yeah, I mean, these days, yeah, I kind of look at our lineup, you know what I'm saying? And I think, does it really matter? Because the forwards are so bad. That's kind of how I feel these days. Like, the forwards are so bad. Does the lineup even matter? Because no matter what we do in the midfield, no matter what we do, Shaw come on. He could, Shaw could come on maybe instead of Heaven. Depends if Heaven's ready. But honestly, I look at it and I'm like, this could be great. A lot of this could be great. It was great Thursday. I didn't have any. It was like, it's been fine the last bunch of games, but are we going to get any goals? Well, Xerxes here, so maybe we get something. Eriksson tends to pop up sometimes. He's old, obviously, but it's not like Eriksson lacks quality. But out of possession, I think we'll have to get some subs, honestly, to get somewhere. But yeah, I mean, we'll see, guys. I mean, whatever. What are your expectations for the game, honestly? Mine are not high. I don't have big expectations at all. But I am excited to see the debut for Harry Amass, and I'm excited to see Bayindir get in the team. So that I'm excited about. Will we win? I don't know. Tired of Garnacho. I'm tired of watching Garnacho every game too. I really hope he doesn't start on Thursday. I'm just tired. I'm just tired of watching it. I'm tired of every attack, getting floundered, getting wasted, going out, and it's crazy. I was coaching yesterday, my son's team. He started up in spring. I was coaching my son's team. And it's like, you can find Garnachos at every level of football. Guys who go, oh, look, they're making things happen. And then in reality, they're sitting there shooting the ball into the parents all game, But anyway, it's funny. They're everywhere. No, his football team. Well, soccer here, but his team. My son is coming to make all the tacticos happy in the midfield, because he's kind of like they're young, but it's interesting. He loves defending in the midfield, and he's really good for his age on the ball in terms of keeping it and like being able to fight through contact on the ball and evade, people trying to tackle him and get it up the pitch. But he's also like an absolute, he loves running into people for tackles. I absolutely love it. But yeah, anyway, speaking of that, by the way, speaking of the midfield, I was thinking about this whole Ugarte thing, just briefly as a topic. I was thinking about that because it's kind of a segue there. And I was thinking about that, and I'm thinking, what is it? What is my problem with this whole debate? And then I thought about Matthijs de Ligt. Now, let me ask you guys, how many of you think de Ligt has been good? How many of you think de Ligt has had a good season? What do you think about that? Do you guys like, what are your thoughts on Matthijs de Ligt? All of you. I want to know, like, do you think he's been decent? Do a live stream. Yeah, well, we'll see, maybe. What do you think about De Ligt right now? Good, 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 good. What do you think the general consensus is on Matthias De Ligt right now? What do you think the general consensus is on De Ligt? That he's good, decent, above average, 6, 7 out of 10? Yeah, I would agree with all of you. Do you think that the narrative on him is the same as it is for Ugarte? Or not? Or do you think people perceive Ugarte being worse? Because I considered De Ligt and Ugarte about having the exact same season. Similar, right? But a bit above average. Obviously not the perfect player. Um, Consensus is Matthias De Ligt over Ugarte, but I think they've had a similar season. Yeah, yeah, about the same. Ugarte worse. Interesting. Why do you think that? Yeah, I think they're about the same. When you look at the numbers on it, um, I think that it all comes down to expectations. Matthias de Ligt is the worst progressing center back in the Premier League, by the way, when you look at the numbers on it. In terms of ball progression, the whole complaint about Ugarte, this is de Ligt. 8th progressive passes, 11th percentile for progressive carries. His forward passing is extremely low. All of it is low. He's a pretty similar player to Ugarte. He does not progress the ball, but he is a good defender. He's a solid tackler, and he fights and he has good energy and he's a winner. Now, Ugarte's been better defensively and about the equivalent on the ball. So I realize that it all comes down to expectations. It all comes down to expectations, right? If you expect the midfield to progress the ball and the center backs not to, then you're going to think De Ligt's been good, Ugarte's been bad. If you're going to correct, Sean, you got it. Amarim doesn't want his central center back or CM to progress the ball. So my expectations are that the center backs progress the ball more because it's an Amarim system. The wide center backs will progress the ball more. The central center backs, I don't expect them to. The central midfielder, I don't expect them to, especially the deeper defending one. So my expectations are there, and they're all doing exactly what I would expect for them. That being said, I have also said that I think Maguire is better and gotten a lot of argument for that because I've talked about the fact that Maguire can add the progression to his game from the central center back. Now, that's not necessarily necessary, but he does add it to the game. So I was thinking, okay, I can see if somebody wanted that from a midfielder, great. But I've had mostly a lot of argument that De Ligt is better, even though he actually does a lot less progressing than Maguire. From a lot of fans, the argument has been that De Ligt is better than Maguire, even though Maguire's better at progressing the ball. So it's all about expectations. It's really what it is. It's whatever you expect, then you're going to see it through that lens, I suppose. Ugarte is a good player who's who's fulfilling what Ruben Amorim wants. De Ligt is a good player who's fulfilling what Amorim wants as well. And even then, he does want a bit more out of progression wise out of his center backs, but even still. But look, it's all about expectations. I would judge people based on what the manager wants compared to what they're doing, and that's what you should judge players off of. But I was thinking about the other day. I was thinking about that the other day. That they're really similar. They're very, very similar. When you look at them, they're basically the same player. De Ligt is the same player as Ugarte at the back. Now, De Ligt's made plenty of errors too. He's given away like 4 penalties this season. I don't know if you know that, but like he's given away like 3 penalties. And it is what it is. So I think they're both good players who are fulfilling a job that people like, and that, and people just have different expectations. I think people just have different expectations. That's all, and that's okay. But I like both of them, and that's the thing. Our midfielders next to Ugarte are way worse than our center backs next to De Ligt. Indeed. Some of the pens are bullshit though. Yeah, fair enough. But he's made some mistakes. Yeah, it's okay. We'll see what happens. They'll both be better next season. They're both still fairly young and new to the Premier League, but they will get better. Either way, similar players, and I just found the comparison rather interesting of the two of them. I wanted to talk about Delap and Cunha because I think it was on when was it? I think it was on Thursday last week. No, maybe Thursday last week before I think it was on Thursday last week. Arena, my friend, good to see you, buddy. I think it was on Thursday last week. Are you excited about Amass getting starts? We were talking about that in the academy talk like 3-4 weeks ago, right? We were saying if Amass can't get chances now, then that's probably it for him, right? Like now is the time for him to get chances. We were specifically talking about that. It's really good to see him getting in the starting lineup. So I'm glad you're. I hope you're happy. But yeah, thinking about Delap and Cunha, because last week on Thursday, Wednesday, I was talking about, I was talking about how they were really unhappy with Rasmus Højlund. Now, Ornstein made that same point today as well, that they probably weren't expecting it, but now they have to figure out what do they do with Rasmus Højlund, because they weren't expecting it to be this bad with him. But they are unhappy with Rasmus Højlund and his performances, very, very unhappy with him. And I was saying in my video that they were likely to potentially look at, while they're concerned about the, I've had concerns about buying like a Delap, and that's the only guy you get as a forward. And that's the only guy you get as a forward in terms of age, in terms of all of that. And I said, look, if you cannot get a big striker, then the alternative plan that's been looked at is getting another goal scorer in the front line to support them. And we specifically spoke before the Europa game about Cunha and Delap together as a combination that is possible that United are looking at. So Laurie Whitwell's story on Friday that is what we're essentially looking at right now makes a ton of sense. The other factor in this is that when we missed out on Giovanni Quenda, as far as I'd heard and shared, we were also looking to move most of that budget towards the front to get more goals in the team. So I like the concept here. Because of the concerns I have with Delap, I like the concept of getting another goal scorer who is a perfect profile from a football standpoint, carrying the ball, all of that. I still have these concerns over Cunha because of the things you'll see, like in the other day, like yesterday, all of that. You know what I mean? Like the social media stuff. Like I still have these concerns, and I think it's fine. I still have those concerns. That being said, yeah, I don't know. I have those concerns, but it's up to them, obviously, to figure that out. You know what I mean? It's really up to them to figure out whether it's worth the risk or not, or whether it's controllable. I mean, look, we've got players in our squad starting today who are talking to, who are, liking tweets against their managers and things like that. So it's not like we haven't, dealt with these kinds of things before. We've got, social media warriors as well in the squad right now, but I am worried about it. I am worried about it. Away at St. James, baptism by fire, make or break game for me today for Amass is the chance he's waiting for. Exactly. Let's see. I have concerns over it, but it's all about how it's how it plays out. I mean, we've seen players with issues like that do great, but I obviously I have some concerns, but I get it. I like Cunha. Yeah. So I don't know. The profile of the footballer, let's put it this way. The profile of the footballer is perfect. Getting Cunha in alongside Delap is absolutely perfect from a standpoint of profile. It really is. Man, you're going way too far. You're going way too far. Way too far. SKR, way too far. Beyond the pale. Way too fucking far. You even got Issa saying calm down, then you've gone way too far. The most dramatic person in here, Issa, huh? Way too far. That was Ten Hag time, but I'm saying it was still the present manager at that point in time, you know what I mean? So Vinicius was even worse. There's yeah, I mean, there's you're not wrong. But look, if you were to tell me that this was our forward, sorry, I was just pulling it up. If you were going to tell me that this was our forward line next year from a football standpoint, I'd be really happy because I'd look at that and say, obviously I needed to, I don't have this all correct here, right? But look at the possibilities of what you could have in terms of the forwards, in terms of goals and things, if you were to play this kind of lineup. From a profile standpoint, suddenly you've got amazing forwards. You've got a really good setup. You can run this. Obviously, then you'd have Dallo over here. I would be very excited about this grouping of forwards profile wise and all of that. You could put Xerxes in here. You could put Bruno in here. There's combinations of this that would be great. There's games where you could go with, you don't have to play Delap if he's not, you have the possibility for a lot of different things, in here. And obviously I'm not subbing these guys off when I do that. But what I'm saying is if you added this kind of quality, I think you'd get a lot more out of a guy like Joshua Xerxes if you had these players around him. Look at what he does when he came on against Lyon, right? Look at how he was getting out of pressure, releasing the ball to Garnacho and all of that. Now imagine you actually had good players around him. You know what I mean? And he still scored a goal. He still scored a goal. But imagine if he was laying the ball off to Cunha and Delap and Ahmad instead of Garnacho, instead of Højlund, wasting the chances, how much fluidity we would have and how much it would help the rest of the team out. So no, I think this could be a really good one. Even with Cunha, you need a left-footed 10, a Trincao dribbling. Well, the other potential there is Ahmad, Ricardo. So that's kind of what I'm thinking too, is that, if we can get Mastantuono, God, I was reading Mastantuono. If you were to get Mentato going, you know what I mean, over on this side, then this is a really strong front three as well. You can also do this, and there's just a lot of combinations that could work in here when you start adding those players in to the team. And then you still have Mount, and then you still have Mainu, and then you still have, all of these players, in there. So there's a lot of things that we could do, that could make this all work if we can get this done. But at least we've got goal scorers in the team now. We've got players who can get the goal. Right, because here's the thing though, right? If Dilap is going, then you've got Cunha and Ahmad. Like, who do you defend? There's no focal point to defend. When you look at this team to say, hey, that's the guy we have to stop from scoring a goal. Who is it? I don't know. If I'm a defender, if I'm a team, I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know who I'm worried about most to score a goal. Whereas right now, I'm not worried about anybody. So it's a big improvement to me in that respect. I don't know who I'm sitting here going, any of these three guys is as much a threat as the other, in my opinion. Xerxes, right wing back. No, not really. But that's what is interesting to me. Compared to now, where none of them, you're not worried about any of them. So yeah. Sancho score a great goal. They're gonna keep him. They're gonna keep him, huh? That's it. They're gonna keep him. Let me check. Let me watch the replay. Is this what keeps Sancho at Chelsea? Is this the goal that keeps Sancho at Chelsea? I mean, that's the funny part, right? All of us talking about this, but let me ask you a question. Is Jadon Sancho still better than our forwards? You might not like it, but he literally is. No, I don't like it either. It's the curler that Garnacho's been trying all season unsuccessfully. So, not that I want him back. It's not the level that we should ask for. He absolutely is. He's absolutely better than Højlund and Garnacho. Sorry. He absolutely is. He just is. It doesn't take much. But he is better. It's just the truth. Look, he just is. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah. It's okay though. It doesn't matter. It's not the standard we're going for. Hopefully Chelsea keep him. We don't need that problem. He was when he was playing at United. He actually wasn't that bad at United. He just was not that good. Yeah. But not to say that we should keep him. Our best forward is on loan at Aston Villa, and we'll see where he ends up next season. But either way, we need to sign our forwards. All right, guys, I'm going to end it here, and I'm going to come back to watch the game live on Big Up Below. I hope to see you all over there. Once again, you can join there now. It's free. There's no ads, all of that. But at the same time, they've also added it where you can just use your Google account, so you don't have to make a new account and stuff. You can just click over and watch and hang out with me over there. The watch-alongs are fun. So I'll be back for the game in about 45 minutes, and I will see you all there. I'll see you all later. Let me know if there's anything else. I don't think there's anything else I want to cover today. So that'll do. Yeah, that'll do. I'll see you all later. Let's come 3-2. What? Are you talking about Tottenham or are you talking about Ipswich? Tottenham's back to 3-2. Our ladies are leading 2-0. Oh, I did miss a message on that. Let me mention someone. I like to point that out because it doesn't get enough. Someone said something about the ladies team. Our women's team are 2-0 up against City in the FA Cup semifinals. That is great. Looks like they'll be back. Good chance of heading back to Wembley, right, for the FA Cup final again. That's good. Great for them. All right. See you guys later. I'll see you later. Okay. Yeah, I'll see you for the watch along if you're joining me later, and I'll probably do a little post